Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. I was listening to Sam Harris on his Making Sense podcast, and he said that it's often difficult to tell whether an idea that doesn't conform to the consensus is a cranks or a fresh-worthy idea. That motivated me to write this. It is a list of unpopular positions that I believe deserve more positive attention. Harris, in a previous podcast, spoke of how real the cancel culture is, the woke mob, and I found that to be true and pervasive. So, in sharing with you the following unpopular positions, I would ask that you replace any impulse to cancel with a willingness to consider and then accept or reject the ideas on the merits. First, regarding climate change. The world is making trillion-dollar commitments to control the climate. The dollar cost and the pain to our daily life is large and will only increase. For example, sitting in ever more gridlock, paying more to fill our tank and to heat and cool our home. The wisdom of imposing such costs on all of us makes the following assumptions. First, that the net effect of the anticipated 1 to 2 degree increase in average global temperature over the next 50 to 75 years is a net negative. That the proposed spending and restrictions on our use of oil and gas would drop the average global temperature enough to make the spending and restrictions worth it. And, importantly, that the world's 195 countries will continue that major spending and to greatly reduce their fossil fuel use for at least the next 50 to 75 years. My position is that the joint probability of those three assertions is too low to justify the costs, including the opportunity costs, what the money and restrictions on human freedom could otherwise buy. To take one just example, an all-out assault on cancer. Regarding climate change, I believe it's wiser to make just modest incursions on human freedom and instead invest in long-term clean energy research, such as safer nuclear and hydrogen power. Another stone unturned is around violence. The veneration of peace and the reviling of violence, and especially war, found new life in the make love, not war 60s, and seems to have remained the conventional wisdom. I am agnostic as to the wisdom of that. Of course, I feel like a peacenik when I hear of war's suffering, death, and cost, often over mere religion or aggressive territoriality. On the other hand, violence often works. If not for violence, we might still be paying the stamp tax, having slavery, and saying Sieg Heil. Would the inner cities have gotten all the extra billions of dollars if residents hadn't rioted and burned? Having children. Yes, many people say that having and raising children is their life's most rewarding activity. Less discussed, perhaps because it's embarrassing to admit. Many other parents wonder if it was worth the enormous sacrifice of money and freedom. In choosing to be a parent, you do sacrifice great amounts of time for 18 years and often longer if your kid ends up being one of the many who returns from college to crash on your sofa. And if your child has a significant mental or physical disability, the sacrifice is multiplied. Music lessons. Countless parents force their kids to take years of piano or violin lessons, despite early signs of lack of talent and the robotic pain of practicing. Better to have your kids' recreations build on natural strengths, whether it be sports, writing, art, etc. Spending. Many people take care to save a few cents on a gallon of gas, yet, without sufficient reflection, spend unduly on housing, car, expensive restaurants, jewelry, vacation, and clothing. Examples. They don't sufficiently assess whether that, quote, good neighborhood is worth the six-figure sacrifice in financial security and maybe having to take a job they dislike except for the money. For image, they buy a Beamer or a Mercedes that costs hundreds of % more than a Toyota, yet requires more service and breaks down more. There's nothing prestigious about standing on the side of the road waiting for the tow truck. If a pleasure meter were attached to your brain, you'd probably get more pleasure from that popular hole-in-the-wall restaurant than from Chez Frou-Frou. Yet some people will spend hundreds of % more for poulet marinated in a sun-dried tomato vinaigrette, $35 a la carte, than pizza from Joe's Pizzeria, $15. Would you really get more pleasure from a diamond, thousands of dollars, than a more perfect cubic zirconium, under $50? Would you really get enough additional pleasure from flying to a far-flung place and staying at the Ritz than driving to an intriguing place that's within an hour or two from home? Do you really get enough pleasure from that closet and drawers full of clothes and shoes to justify the money and time to buy all that stuff? Wouldn't it be wiser to have just a half dozen outfits you really like? For example, for a couple of years now, a few times a week, I wear this blue Uniqlo fleece that cost me $24.99, and I love it. Reflecting on your traumas. Traditional psychotherapy asserts that if you don't fully process past trauma, it will continue to plague you. Well, I'm a career counselor who's had many clients who had undergone psychotherapy. While some of them benefited from said processing, more felt that while therapy gave some insight and catharsis, their life was no better, and their wallet was a lot thinner. They ended up doing better by following the advice of my father, who was a Holocaust survivor. Stop looking back. Take the next step forward. Pushing your body. In recent years, experts have been touting the value of stressing your body. High-intensity intermittent training, endurance sports, intermittent fasting. That may turn out to be wise, but it often takes years, even decades, to get a definitive answer. Well, common sense tells me, at least, that our body does better steady state. Indeed, when I look at people in their 50s or older who have been serious exercisers, on average, they have saggier skin, and cell inelasticity is a proxy for aging. Sure, some of that could be excess sun exposure, but the above suggests that it's wiser to exercise only moderately and eat a few small meals a day rather than starve for 16 to 18 hours every day. Religion. Movies, TV shows, and novels usually portray religious people as stupid or evil. The effect of that is to discourage religiosity. Of course, religious zealotry leads to balkanization and wars, but most religious people I've met benefit from their religion, or at least their involvement in a place of worship. So even though I'm an atheist and think that religion, especially the concept of an omniscient, omnipotent God, is bunk, I do think it is important that we not try to disabuse religious people of their faith. And finally, regarding being judgmental. We're told to not be judgmental, but I think we should be more judgmental. Judgment, discernment, is a hallmark of a civilized society. I think it's detrimental to us as individuals and as a society to venerate the value-void acceptance of people, cultures, and arts. Give me a wise person over an overconfident, loud, and proud one. Give me a culture that values restraint and hard work over a feeling-centric, do-it-now culture. Give me the overture to Gypsy rather than Black Sabbath's War Pigs. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.